Okay, so I believe that we can now start. So welcome again, everyone, to the 4th Startup Club Investment Conference. I would like to welcome to the presenters and welcome to the advisory board members and also to all the other attendees. My name is Mathilde Vadde, and I organize pitch nights, investment conferences, and private investor calls at the Startup Club, aiming to introduce advisors and investors to selected startups during our online events. And tonight I'm happy to introduce you to 2 startups. The first one is a fintech startup called Oro Pay, an emerging market ESG impact investment in a highly scalable financial technology business, presented by Astrid Emmerich and Mariana Reed. The second startup tonight is a health tech startup from Germany. It's called ONVY HealthTech, an AI-based private health management platform, optimizing and balancing your physical and mental well-being. And this company will be presented by the CEO, Adrian Kochsiek. So I'm really looking forward to listen to the pitches and also to learn more about these companies. And I would like to introduce you shortly to the format of the event. Each startup has about 8 minutes to pitch, which will be followed by 15 to 20 minutes feedback and questions from the advisors. Anyone can use the chat to ask questions, either in a private message or in the general chat to the presenters and also to the other attendees. So now a few words about the Startup Club. Startup Club is a one-stop shop for the global entrepreneur community. Our vision is to assist businesses in their capital structuring and growth by connecting entrepreneurs and investors and advisors and mentors in the startup ecosystem internationally. And thanks to our pitch nights and investor networking conferences, the Startup Club helps startups, scale-ups, and growing companies reach their funding and growth needs. In 2021, we hosted over 50 successful events and attended by angel groups, high net worth investors, VCs, private equity funds, and other investment professionals. So we have an active presence across all continents and over 70,000 members in our network. And we work across many different industries, such as green tech, health tech, beauty tech, fintech, real estate, and much more. And I would like to invite you to check our website or our LinkedIn page to see all the upcoming events and the full list of services. So now I would like to introduce you to the members of the advisory board. So I'm very happy to welcome you here tonight. We have Sarah Finegan from Antler. Hi, Sarah. Would you like to introduce yourself? A few sentences.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Great to be here. And thank you very much for having me. Really looking forward to the pitches this evening. As Mathilde said, my name is Sarah. I am a director with Antler, based in Berlin. For those who haven't heard about Antler, we are a global early stage venture capital firm. We do what we do at a global scale. So we're now present in 21 locations all across the world. And by now, probably one of the most active investors in the world. So we have north of 400 portfolio companies, and that's growing. I think centering in on the stage that we invest in, so we primarily focus at the pre-seed stage, so essentially working with founders from the very beginning and before they really get going with a company. But we also have the ability to invest follow-on capital as those companies grow, so up to Series C. And then just a snapshot into what we do and where we're at locally. So we, since launching the fund, the Antler Berlin Fund, we have made investments into 16 companies in their huge variety of different technology sectors. So we have fintech, we have Web3, we have psychedelics, HR tech, clean energy, and SaaS companies, to name a few. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Great presentation. Guillaume, I'm happy to have you here. Can you also introduce yourself, please? Guillaume, I cannot hear you. Hello?
I don't think he's on yet.
It's not on yet.
Don't believe so.
Okay. Okay, we can introduce himself later. Also, I'm sorry to announce that the third board member, Antonio Garcia Maldonado from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, will not be able to join tonight, unfortunately. So we will have only 2 board members for this session. So let me maybe just check if Guillaume has written me. Yeah, I think Guillaume is here now. Hi, Guillaume.
Yes. Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Sorry,
Hello.
so sorry for the delay.
No problem.
Meeting lasted a bit longer, and happy to be with you guys. And sorry for the waiting.
Great to have you here tonight. So it's your turn actually to shortly introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, perfect. So as everyone was able to present themselves, I'm Guillaume from Seventure Partners. So it's a French VC fund. It's been operating for the past 25 years with operations, of course, located in France and based there, but we also have presence worldwide with the different investment departments that we have. So we have one life sciences that is very international in its investment strategy. Then we have a sports and well-being fund and a new one that was just launched a few weeks ago in 2022 called Blue Forward on focusing on blue economy and oceans, treatment of water. And I'm part of the tech and digital team to invest mostly in companies in the fintech and retail tech space at Series A stage, from pre-Series A to Series B, with investment tickets ranging from 1 to 4 million, and presence in France and mostly in France and Germany for the tech and digital team, but of course open to the rest of Europe.
Thank you so much. Very interesting. So yeah, so great. Now I think we can start with the first pitch. So we have Oro Pay presented by Astrid Emmerich. So hello, Astrid. Happy to have you here. You can now share your screen and you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I will do that. I will share my screen and present. So good afternoon and good evening for those in Europe. We are in Brazil, so for us it's lunchtime. We are a platform that helps people gain financial independence. In a nutshell, it's our own technology platform. We're a fintech and a fair finance fintech. So our purpose is to encourage people to overcome barriers of inequality, and even those with lack of resources and opportunities. We give them the tools and the encouragement and the know-how and the support in order to go beyond in trying to achieve their own financial independence by being the owner of their own productive assets and by being able to really look forward and building on what they have, on their own skills and their own talents. How do we do that? We have our own proprietary software that we created over the last 7 years, 4 years with my first fintech, and then after the spin-off, we continued with the same system and use it and adapted it to the current demands. It is highly configurable, so we can attend any demand of specific clients who need to have specific services that may have that they may need in a specific scenarios. We're a customizable, high technology platform that we created ourselves with a microservices architecture, so with extreme ease and agility to attend clients' needs. All the projects that we choose, if we can, are projects that have an environmental impact or a social impact. it's a choice. We don't, I mean, our software works with anything, anywhere, in any shape or form, but our choice is to actually make a positive impact for society and the environment. And all that with an eye on clear shareholder creation. I'm an ex-banker. I spent almost 30 years in investment banking, spent my life in equities, and I spent my life in creating shareholder value. So that's what we do now with my company for my shares and for all the investors who come on board with me. So shareholder value is very much our focus. Of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, the 5 that are most connected to what we do are 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13. So what is the problem in Brazil? As you may know or not, but the financial system was very concentrated in 5 big banks, and it's been very, very exclusive and very expensive and very, very elitist. So we came in, and lots of other fintechs as well, and with some changes during the COVID times with the way of the payment of the auxiliary benefits. But with all that change now, the central bank is helping to add more competition to the market and let us go in and basically streamline the access to the financial system for everybody. So our focus is we built the software and the digital wallets and a whole system that is easily accessible for anybody who has access to the internet and the smartphone. That's all they need. And even in some cases, we can do it without the smartphone and without the access to the internet through specific ways of doing it as well. But we basically found a way of eliminating the problem of hard access, difficult access, confusing access, expensive access, and no help in understanding how to use finances in the proper way. And all of that is done very abusively in Brazil. If you are, especially at the bottom of the pyramid, the abuse is pretty high. As soon as somebody knows that you do not understand very much about interest rates and compound interest, and you can't really calculate percentages and so on, these people tend to be pushed into the corner and made to borrow money they shouldn't borrow and pay interest over interest over interest, and they end up paying so much more for something they should never have borrowed for. And in the end of the day, they get abused in a sense that is pretty shocking. So somebody has to do something about it, and I-2020 is here to do that. And what is our primary channel to market? We work primarily with other companies. So we offer our platform to companies who, for whatever reason, need to send money to somebody. It can be employees, it can be refugees, it can be clients that they need to pay in a certain format. It can be a platform like a marketplace platform that has certain things that they connect buyers and sellers, and then the sellers get the money from the buyers. So whichever format that you need to shift money from one place to another, the origin is the B, our customer is the origin of the money. So the money in comes from the customer itself, our customer. And he then uses our platform either as a white label format with his own branding or with the Oro Pay platform on a partnership basis in order to do these transactions. And we have, as I said, a very flexible system, so we can adjust the system to the needs of the customer. Also simple store cards, like smaller retailers can have their own credit card with their own branding and basically have a white label internally, so you don't have to pay MasterCard fees, and externally the customer can use it in the MasterCard network. So this kind of flexibility we offer. So our business model is very scalable because we go through business clients who then end up bringing the end users. And we have a formal network of contacts that have contracts with us that open doors for us in Brazil. They're ex-executives of big companies, they are ex-CEOs of listed companies and so on, people who are door openers, in order to get us access to these decision makers in the big companies who need these our services. And on the marketing side, on the communication side, we create content in order to show the Oro Pay brand's value, our mission, and our services through our Oro Combi, the little combi that goes around the remote areas where we have mostly customers that use Oro Pay. And these customers who use Oro Pay in remote areas, they can then contribute with the local content that we show on the social networks and other places in order to really show give them access to the world, and we bring the city to them. So we do the opposite of the old days where we had the globalization, where everybody had left the rural areas and went to the cities. We bring the city back to the rural areas. People don't have to dislocate themselves and can live, have a very high level of standard of living where they are by having access to the good things the city can bring through virtual reality now and through virtual connections. We can do so much more. And our little combi Oro goes around these remote communities and basically gets some nuggets of content and brings those to the forefront. So this is the idea of creating a content that is rich of value for all sides. This is how we create the network effect, the famous flywheel of Amazon, of the company Amazon, that we have adapted to our own model. So we basically engage people with the Oro once they are Oro Pay end users. Okay, so you've got the company here, business client here, who uses as a partnership Oro Pay. We've got some examples of those. These would then get from us this engagement. We then basically, so these multipliers, which are our business clients, we basically offer them financial education. We offer them financial inclusion in that sense. We offer them a better and easier way to deal with basic financial transactions, day-to-day financial transaction. We explain things, we show practical financial education through our app. And then with the social inclusion that they get, they basically become more engaged because they have demand for more products and more services. With that, we add more services, and with that, we get more engagement. And so the famous network effect comes into play. And overall market size, I think you all know that. I mean, if you've been watching Brazil for some time, there have been 40 million Brazilians which were unbanked before the pandemic. Most of them actually have a digital account now through the Caixa, which is the government bank that offered them the emergency funding. But this is a very, very limited account, and people don't tend to use it, and they're still left alone. They don't really know what to do with it and how to do it in the sense that we would do for them. So the market is underbanked now. It was unbanked, but now it's underbanked. So it's still a huge opportunity. And the 45 billion reais a day, this kind of group of people is transacting, is basically a chance of creating almost 1 billion reais in TPV, in revenue. So the 45 billion TPV can turn into 1 billion reais of revenue. So it's a very big market. What have we done so far? Over the last 3 years, we have raised 700,000 reais. A large part of that is my own money that I made for my own fintech. My first fintech that I sold successfully was sold for 125 million reais to a French company called Swile. I had left before, I had done a spin-off before, but my stake of the company of V brought me 2.5 million reais, which I basically put into I-2020. So in the rest, we raised from business angels. We managed to build the system. It's a fully operational system. We've done over 5,000 transactions. We put 1 million reais to all the transactions. We've created started creating some revenues with that. But the biggest achievement is we got the MasterCard license. So we actually we're an issuer of the license. So we have our own MasterCards, for in our own brand for Oro, or for our customers. If we have white label customers, it's the same card with the same wallet, but it's basically with their own branding. So that was a big achievement. Then we have a fully operating platform. Of course, we've already identified and selected our customers. So we have 7 B2B customers in the pipeline that we are implementing now. And we, of course, have talked to investors in the past, and we're talking to you now, hoping to convert some of you to help us to get to the next stage of our development. So what is our ask? We want to raise $1 million now in order to accelerate our marketing plan and to hire 3 full-time developers in addition to the team that we have, and 2 operational professionals will help us a lot to scale up now. So it's very important now to basically have the push of that extra capital in order to get the platform out there for people to really use. And this is our team. This is me, Astrid. I'm the CEO and CFO. The founder. I spent almost 30 years in investment banking in America, in Latin America, in Europe, and in Asia. Spent a lot of time in Hong Kong, watched what has happened over the last 30 years in Southeast Asia, and that development, that great growth that which we witnessed with my own eyes is the reason I'm so motivated of doing this in Brazil. As you can tell by my accent, I'm German, but I've moved to Brazil 15 years ago, and I'm still here to stay. My husband is Brazilian. He's actually called Mr. Brazil. He's Marcelo Brazil. So I became Mrs. Brazil. That's by default. But anyway, so my experience I have from Asia, and my experience of the years in investment banking in Latin America as well, where I covered from Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, everything, every corner of Brazil, every corner of Latin America I've covered from Brazil. So this experience gives me this insight of what and the knowledge of why we need to do this now in Brazil. Gene is our CTO. I've known him for 15 years. He worked for NASA 25 years. He's one of the most smartest computer engineer I know. He's been in the business for 40 years. There's nothing he can't program. And we have our CMO, Guto Araújo, who spent his life working with people on the ground. He's done a lot of political campaigns, so he knows how the small, rural and remote people really think, what they need, how do we need to communicate with them. And we've got Mariana Reed, our Chief Communications Officer, who spent her life as a journalist and also working on a very important project with the World Bank, documentaries that she filmed in the north of Brazil in remote areas with exactly the same focus that we have at I2020 on the social and environmental side. This is the part where we will, as Oro Pay, be visible. The part as B2B will be done as I2020, which is the name of the company, and directly with our institutional clients. And that's it. This is who we are.
Great. Thank you, Astrid. Really, really great pitch. So now I would like to ask the advisors to give their feedback. Who would like to start? Sarah, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Let me kick it off. Thank you very much, Astrid. Very, very interesting space. Would like to learn more about who your customer personas are. So you mentioned B2B customers, like what type of customers are they that you're actually going after? Are they corporate, that they're in a particular industry? And then also related to that, would like to also get a sense for how big the market is for that particular segment.
Yes, we have 7 specific B2B customers at the moment at the stage of implementation or finalization of contracts and basically execution. If I may give you 2 examples of those 7 that are very specific examples of them which clarify how we work. And if you would like to know more, of course, I'll give you the details of the others. One is the World Vision International NGO. It's a huge charity. It has $3 billion in revenues and one of the biggest in the world. They focus on children, but they basically go into the communities and they basically build a sustainable project there for 5 years. And they go in there, they teach them, they give them the tools, and then once the people locally know how to do it, they leave. But the focus in order to make the life better for children, they focus on women. That's usually the case in all these scenarios that we've encountered now in all these remote and rural areas specifically. So World Vision International needs to go in there and needs to basically do that. And with all these projects, there's some money that has to change hands. Money comes from World Vision. They have the $3 billion they need to deploy. So they deploy the money in those projects. In some projects, when it's our specific project with them is for the refugees in Boa Vista and in Pacaraima, which is up in the north of Brazil. The last town before Venezuela, on the border of Venezuela, is Pacaraima. And Boa Vista is the capital of that last state up north, in the middle of the Amazon, totally remote. And that's where these people need to get money. They need to be able to receive money in an emergency scenario as they come across the border. They have no documents, they have no phone, they have nothing. Then some may have it. Then they need to pay people in Venezuela. Usually they have somebody who's left over. So what we do, we can create a wallet for World Vision International under the World Vision International brand, everything on branding with their name. And they have some emergency cards ready to activate on the spot, which they can give to those refugees and those people who are in need at the spot when they meet them. They have limits on them. These cards are they are limited by MCC, by merchant category code. So they can only eat with them or buy food or transport. They can only do 20 reais per day. They can only do 100 reais over 5 days. They can, and you can have a family card, a second card, you know, that goes off that wallet that they can send directly to somebody in Venezuela. The person in Venezuela can use on the same account of the person in Brazil, can use again another card that is limited for the use of food only and for a certain amount. And with that, they only pay the currency exchange is done by MasterCard, and that we pay the IOF tax, you know, the financial tax for Brazil, which is 6.38%. But that's cheap. You can't normally send money from Brazil, especially small amounts, to anywhere. It's impossible. We are the cost is very, very high, and also it's not physically available. You know, these people have they're refugees. They're sitting somewhere where there's no access. So we can have these problems. WVI has not been able to fix. They work with another fintech, which was a disaster for them. They were very burned by them. A very famous competitor of ours, a big one. So they've really sort of once bitten, twice shy. So it took some time for us to get them along, you know, bring them along and show them the diversity of what we can do with them. You know, so that's a very specific case where we really stand alone in Brazil in the very competitive market where we don't see any competitors. Second customer that's maybe interesting for you to see how we work and how our sustainable development goals are connected. We have a customer in Rondônia, in Porto Velho, which is the other side of the Amazon. And it's a customer called Coil. It's a technology platform that connects, it's like a marketplace that registers small landowners of the Amazonian forest, connected with people anywhere in the world who would like to adopt a piece of the forest for preservation. So they basically, instead of the small landowner cutting the tree down in order to take his son to the hospital by the sale of the tree and burning the rest because he can maybe plant some really low-end crop that doesn't yield much in order to survive and feed his family, we basically, the platform basically pays him an annual fee that is above what you would earn burning down, cutting the trees and burning the land and working on the land. But he only gets that every month on a 12th of this amount, actually freed up every month. But in his wallet, there's a way of showing that this is his money, which is trapped. But every month, if he doesn't burn anything, he doesn't change anything, because we have a satellite supervision from this customer of ours, they look exactly if everything is intact, then we release that money. So that is basically creating, we use our, we are a foreign exchange correspondent, so we use our foreign exchange correspondent service in order to get monies in from wire transfer from abroad. We use our gateway, I-2020 gateway, which is a partnership with an acquirer. We have a gateway. So people want to pay with credit cards, they can use our gateway. That is basically bring the money into the marketplace of our customer. And as soon as this adoption of that land happens, we do the split in order to pay the owner of the land the amounts every month according to the plan. And a bit goes to Coil for the satellite monitoring and for the registering, and a bit goes to us for the work we do for them. So we get our revenue directly from whoever is the money bringer. And in this case are these people who are adopters of land, you know, and who's bringing these clients together is our customer Coil. And at the same time, we're doing preservation, so climate change. And secondly, we're doing social inclusion. And thirdly, we help sustainable income being created for people who need it. And thirdly, we give financial education by teaching them not to spend everything at once, not to borrow money, and all this kind of activities that we see in rural and difficult areas, which is making problems for people. And the third level of this client, which is so interesting, is they have 14,000 farmers on the list in just one small spot in Porto Velho. I mean, they have 1.1 million hectares just of those 14,000 family farmers, owners of this forest. And they can now take these 1.1 million hectares and do the carbon credit accreditation, because to do the accreditation is a very expensive exercise. You can't do it for any land size under 100,000 hectares. So with 1.1 million hectares, you can do that efficiently. Once they've done it, these farmers can also then sell the carbon offset credits, which again generates further carbon credits for them, generates further revenues for them. And if they then learn how to plant more trees, because some of them already burnt some of the trees and cut some of the trees, which we know, we can see it on the satellite, they then get increase, they can start increase their revenues again by planting more and having more money coming through the preservation angle and also the carbon credit sales in the future. So it's a sustainable revenue creation with showing people how they can be financially independent.
Cool. Just one very quick follow-up question. So I guess with those existing B2B customers in mind, what is your approach with new customer acquisition in the future? Like what does your go-to-market look like?
Well, new customer acquisition, we have two groups. I call one B3 and the other one's called I3 for whatever reason. The B3 are three gentlemen who have a formal agreement with us. They have an options contract and a sales commission, so they get 10% of sales if they bring us customers, but they have also a way of buying equity at a certain discount depending on the targets that they hit. And they basically are ex-CEO of Vivo, one of the biggest telecom companies in Brazil, listed company, Natura, one of the biggest listed also cosmetics company, and Accor, the French hotel chain. The other one is spent 40 years as a salesman at Oracle and IBM, of course on the mainframe side and the old technology, but he's Mr. Technology in Brazil. Anybody, any company that wants to do something with technology, because most of them have their own mainframe systems where they need to update or they need to add something or they're too cumbersome to do something with their own systems, they will go to him to say, Claudio, what do I do? And he said, okay, talk to I2020. They have fantastic microservices software architecture. They can basically connect with your system in such a way that you can achieve what you need. So these are the ones, those two, plus Guy, who had his own, for 21 years, his own technology company, where he was servicing big corporates and big banks with call centers and with all sorts of services that they subcontracted, like, 1 million phone calls for Bradesco he was doing, right? So these three are one group that have immense access in Brazil to the corporate world and to people who need access to new technologies. So they bring us, customers, and they're out there all the time. The second group is my ex-colleagues from Lehman Brothers in Brazil. I worked at Lehman here, and there's a team of the credit side, of the structured credit side, that basically became my shareholders. They invested as business angels, but they also have an incredibly strong network in anything to do with the rural area, because they used to do the structured credits for the big farms, for the big guys out there. And anybody who's connected with the rural business, they know how they have access to. So they open doors for us, as well as my network. I have a huge network. I spent so many years in banking. I have a very big network of corporates and, on the corporate level, and as well as Mariana, who's joined us. She has a big network in the NGO level. And as soon as we start talking to some of the NGOs, the next ones come through. So
I'm sorry, Astrid. We have 5 minutes left with we should probably move to Guillaume and his feedback.
Okay, just a second, just to say, make sure, did I answer your question? So the channel to market is very specific through people who in Brazil are very well known, who can get us to the right decision makers. So there is no shortage of access to corporates and to organizations that need our services.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Astrid, for the presentation of this mission-driven project and the further explanation following Antler's questions. Very interesting. I'd like to maybe give more light on two other things from your business. Maybe one would be a focus on your several business revenue streams, let's say, the business model, because I've seen that you have several ones, and maybe also on the financial education and e-learning tools that you provide on the platform.
Okay, the revenue streams are we are bank as a service, the BAS service. So the model is either a licensing model, so the customer can pay a flat fee per active user, but it's a contract where you have to pay for, in the first month for 100,000 users, and then, as it goes up, there's a scale to 300,000 users and so on. But even if you only have one user, you will have to pay the full amount. So he basically has a specific contract where he has a license for up to 100,000 users where he has to pay a flat fee. And then there's a per API call fee. So every time you call our server, there is a small fee. So that's the variable fee that we get. And we usually pass through the cost of our server. So if it's a big client, we tend to have an account at AWS for them, and they pay that fee directly. So the server cost gets passed through. Any cost of physical cards and plastic cards and withdrawals, which cost, so you can withdraw money in ATM machines from this card and from our digital wallet as well. These are passed through as well to the customer. So that's a basic model for a B2B. But we also have, like with Coil, we have a partnership where they don't pay and we don't charge them, but we basically have access directly to this end user. And we have three revenue streams: the one from the foreign exchange, from the gateway, and from the actual MasterCard of the people. Once people receive the money, we get revenues on once they use it. And that's where we basically don't charge them. Okay, that's that story. And what's the other model? The other model is where the customer can buy our software. They can buy the whole thing. They can basically, instead of having, they can say, okay, I want you to do a white label for me, everything front end white label. And then I want you to basically set everything up. And over 2 years, we basically transfer the knowledge and the software to us. So we do, we do a fork, and we hand it over and give them a service level agreement on the level that they want, and then they have to pay us depending on the service that they use, right? So that's something, of course, which is much more extreme, but a lot of people like that. And we sell the bins as well. We sell the card numbers once they cordon off. So that's the revenue stream. And the financial education, that's something we do more through practice, because practical means the way the wallet is set up, I can't show you now, but it's set up so that people can separate the monies inside their wallet. They know if the money is for working capital, if it's for their company, if it's for their use, if it's for savings, if it's for a specific, maybe for their child, they can separate all that inside the wallet, money coming in and out. And for that way, we show them how they can have their own money instead of always borrowing from somebody in order to make their ends meet. So that's the financial education we do. We do it through content that we create from talking to people, being there, looking to their eyes, doing these recordings, doing the radio show, doing a live community radio show. We then, with our Combi Oro, we then publicly, of course, show in different platforms. So it's a very softy approach on a very basic level where we basically bring people the joy of money instead of the fear of money. So there's no formal classroom, no formal videos, none of that. It's more like my grandfather taught me how to put my money aside and how to calculate and how to budget. That kind of really gentle financial education.
Okay, thank you very much, Astrid.
Thank you,
I don't know if we
Guillaume.
have other questions, Mathilde.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's someone in the audience who has maybe a question or something to add. Then you can go live. I don't know if there's anyone.
I think Toon has a question.
Who?
Toon.
Ah. No questions. Then you can use the chat if you would like to. Okay, then thank you so much, Astrid, for the presentation, and thank you for your feedback to Sarah and Guillaume. And now we can move to the next presenter, which is Adrian Kochsiek, who is pitching for ONVY HealthTech. So hi, Adrian, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. You can now share your screen and you can start the presentation.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And thank you. I'm looking forward to present you on ONVY HealthTech. First, let me start to share my screen. Do you see a black screen right now? Because I have to, I just need some feedback.
It's too small.
It's
Yeah, no worries.
vertical.
No worries. We have it soon.
Perfect.
All right. Now you should see the full screen, right?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, great. So I'm happy to give you upfront, a little bit of storytelling, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and later we have to transition to ONVY HealthTech. And at first a short little quiz, so maybe a little challenge who can spot me on the following picture. And I will help you with this one, because this is how I looked like 13 years ago. So I got diagnosed with lymphoma back in the days, and I was laying in hospital for more than a year. And you can trust me, I learned a lot about human health and the reciprocal relationship between physical and mental health in that time. So I was digging super deep into the topic of human health, at first out of a high necessity, and later after coming back to health and even reaching physical and mental peak performance again, it really became my mission to share that knowledge and help as many people as possible. So I really want to create a global impact towards better health and well-being with meaningful innovation. I thought, how can we leverage technology? How can we merge science and technology in order to totally disrupt the way we look at private health management? So how can we empower mankind to take ownership over their own health and give them a tool for efficient, preventative, and predictive health management so they can live a happy and healthy life in which they're able to unleash their full potential. In the first step, then I went to Unternehmertum, which is Europe's leading center for digital innovation and tech business creation, where I learned a lot about startups from every angle. And after that, it was clear I have to deliver some impact as an entrepreneur on my own. And I did that the very first time at Me2Care, where I bootstrapped my first healthcare startup in the context of preventative health management and longevity. It was a super successful and exciting time. But in that time, I really saw, in order to tackle mankind's biggest problems of the next decades, I actually have to start another venture that has information and technology in the core, so we can scale the impact the same rate as this crazy exponential technological progress we see. And speaking about mankind's most expensive problems, we definitely have to speak about mental health. So all 8 billion of us have a mental health, right? Each and every one of us knows that. And there are currently 1 billion people worldwide that suffer from any form of a mental health disorder, which is 15% of the global population, which is crazy. And I think if this pandemic made us realize one thing, then that the absence of a mental illness does not mean that people are mentally well. So there is even a dark figure or a number of unreported cases that is even higher. To give some more numbers, poor mental health costs the world economy 2.5 trillion per year at the moment. And this amount will rise to 6 trillion by 2030. The World Economic Forum says that mental illness will account for more than half of the economic burden of disease over the next 2 decades, which is more than cancer, diabetes, and chronic respiratory diseases combined, which again is absolutely crazy in my opinion. So especially here, I thought, like, how can we leverage technology in order to have a tool for predictive health management? Because if we simply do the math, then it's not possible to cover that issue. I just returned from London over the weekend to meet some partners and other investors and attend a conference, a health optimization conference. And I saw a slide and I got the UK numbers. So in UK, there are currently 2 million people with a mental health disorder, and for that are looking for a place with a practitioner, and there are 20,000 practitioners for this 2 million people waiting. So if we look at this mind health landscape, those 2 million people here, they are just lost at the moment. And if you think that in a global dimension, you can imagine how this will look like with the upwards trend I showed you before. So long story short, what we are doing is we bring people from left to right on this spectrum, and really push them from reactive to proactive. How do we do that? Meet ONVY to enter into a new era of private health management. So we strongly believe that the future of health, but also the future of mental health, is personalized and data-driven. So we have a tool where people can manage their physical and mental well-being. So we offer personalized health insights and science-based health guidance to offer preventative health management through AI and predictive analytics. And we have 320 plus wearable integrations on a new era healthcare platform. And we combine that with a wide selection of health and mindfulness programs that are designed through cutting edge medical expertise, advanced behavioral science, and positive psychology. So if we look at this health iceberg, obviously, we know it's not enough to do some sports every now and then and have a fairly good diet. There are a lot more topics. We were speaking about mental health a lot now. So there are so many factors like uncertainty about our futures, threat of war, financial security, overstimulation, digital overload. This topic is highly interconnected with our recovery, our sleep quality, what kind of regeneration we need on a daily basis. And what we do is we show the people also the impact of their habits and daily lifestyle choices on their biomarkers. And our environment also plays a crucial role in that entire landscape. And we're the company that is connecting the dots here, especially when it comes to this missing data puzzle piece. So we say, you can't manage what you don't measure. So we translate data into private health management. You get the personalized health insights straight from your body. We take care of the analytics of your digital health biomarkers. You get the data-driven guidance, so there's no guesswork, but really objective data and tailored health interventions. And then you have a predictive health tech tool in your pocket that is giving you predictive insights and analytics, and an AI health coach as a mindful companion. So how does that look like, right? A lot of amazing buzzwords and a nice presentation, but now we step into the user experience so you get a better understanding of how does it look like. At the end, it's about maintaining balance in our daily lives. So if you imagine you opening the app in the morning, you get an understanding about your recovery score, about the quality of your sleep, and based on your score, you get guidance for the day. What is the right amount of activity? With how much stress can your body cope over the day? And at the evening, you would watch that summary page again, and you see, okay, I had this amount of activity today. I practiced this amount of mindfulness today. Maybe I had a bit too much stress. So you get a guidance of what would be a proper recovery and when you should go to sleep. And what we've been creating here is what we call the zone concept. So the zone is getting adapted and calculated based on your biomarkers on a daily basis. So for example, you have heavy stress or heavy workouts. Of course, your body has a different demand on recovery. This gets shown in the zone. And on top of this easy, understandable, data-driven journey, we've integrated the solution side or the content, which is then combined with the AI health coach. So that can be science-based health and mindfulness exercises, like a guided breathing session that is activating your parasympathetic nervous system to lower stress levels. We make measurable as well, but those can also be like advanced health programs with cutting-edge medical expertise and behavioral science. And this AI health coach is really seeing anomalies in the data, and we translate these data into actionable feedback so you can adjust your lifestyle long before disease occurs. Now, speaking about some numbers in that context, total global mobile health market went from 21 billion in 2016 to 100 billion in 2021, and goes up to 333 billion in 2025. And looking about wearable unit shipments worldwide, 2014, there were 29 million. In 2020, there were 445 wearable unit shipments worldwide. And what we saw is that the top reasons for wearable use in 2020 really shifted towards, I have to manage my stress, I have to manage a diagnosed condition. Think about the 1 billion people that suffer from any form of mental health disorder. So it started with activity tracking. Now we have this huge shift towards regeneration topics and stress management. So we see all of these upwards trends in wearable technology, digital health, and the looming mental health crisis. And now it's super important to understand our positioning in that context. So ONVY is at the intersection of quantifiable mental well-being and AI health management. So we really leverage our algorithms based on existing hardware, and we run machine learning methods for clustering, classification, regression of biometric time series data. And then it's really about learning from patterns and correlations of these global real field health data and certain demographic factors. And speaking about revenue and business now, we run a subscription model in B2C. So we offer that tool for a new era of private health management and an AI health coach, combining all areas of well-being on a platform with flexible memberships. And in B2B, we will have solutions for using our platform as a service, API and white label, instant data play, and have a SaaS solution for corporate health and insurtech, where we feel there is a strong momentum, especially for wearable agnostic and entirely location independent mental health or mental wellness platform for an entire workforce. So they can be inclusive and each and everyone can bring their own device. So that leads them to reduce sick costs in the company, increase productivity, higher employer branding, and of course, a new era of corporate social responsibility, which is super important, especially in times of post-COVID, where mental health really moved to the forefront of global discussion. And in InsurTech, we're also in advanced negotiation with two large firms here in Europe. And yeah, as a company, we really leverage information and technology. So all of our core attributes are set up for agile and exponential business development. And regarding the funding allocation, we of course strongly focus on tech development, marketing and sales, and some key hirings. So we will raise a total of 3 million on a 10 million pre-money valuation. And this second financial round, we raised 1.6 million in our first round in October 2020. We got a commitment by Plug and Play Tech Center in this round. And we're in advanced due diligence processes with several health tech VCs here in Europe, but also in the United States, which is the most important market for us after Europe. And yeah, we got named as most innovative or most promising machine learning and predictive analytics startups in Germany recently. And in the future, there will be multiple options for B2B partnerships as they are in need to really boost their collaborative IQ. And us as a digital health startup, we have a strong starting point when it comes to trust and credibility, and also shaping an outstanding user experience, because we can really move this ship a bit more agile and fast than large companies in interaction with our customers. So big tech, healthcare, life science, insurance, but also other health and wellness companies will be interesting partners for us to partner with, but maybe also later as an exit option, again, because they have to boost their collaborative IQ, they have to make their platform play work, and have an outstanding customer experience when it comes to those topics where we highly focus on in product development. Working with some amazing testimonials in that field, because we wanted to prove that it works with people who have to perform under high pressure. So we're working with some top level athletes already. And if I speak about us, this is our team. It's actually interdisciplinary knowledge based on artificial intelligence, data science, medical science, machine learning, but of course also huge focus on the product design, UI, UX, and that's ONVY in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm now happy for all of your questions.
Thank you so much. It was a really wonderful presentation.
Thank you
so Guillaume, would you like to start giving your feedback?
Yes, thank you, Adrian, for the presentation. Very exciting projects for for humanity and the mental health of everyone. of course, it raises a lot of questions on how. So you have wearable devices and maybe inputs from users to gather the data, but maybe a bit more explanation on how you interpret the fact that people indicate that they are stressed or very stressed or not at all at the moment. How can you manage this regarding the sensitivity of everyone?
Good question. Thank you very much. So in the first step, what we do is we merge the input of our wearable data together with what we call behavioral health analytics. So we combine it with a questionnaire on a daily basis about, one second, let me actually share my screen because this is quite important to understand. So I'll move this here. Let me go there. Okay, it's waiting a bit long. Sorry, thanks for your patience. So what we do is then with this questionnaire, what we do is that we really ask for a certain kind of stuff on a daily basis, like how do you feel, how do you perceive, how much stress did you perceive, how satisfied are you with life, and then people are able to log certain habits and daily lifestyle choices they had. And after a while, we give them a clean overview. So here, for example, add a journal entry. You start with this journaling. How stressed are you? Then you give some input. How satisfied are you with your day? You give some input, and then you can customize a wide array of boxes when it comes to your mental state, when it comes to your diet, when it comes to your lifestyle. Like, for example, I felt grateful, or I felt anxious. I took my vitamin D today, whatever. And after a while, we learn from the correlations, and we see certain patterns between your daily lifestyle choices. And we show you what kind of an impact your habits have on your biomarkers, because at the same time, we measure the biomarkers, right? And then at the end of the week or at the end of the day, people get very clean overviews about their, and easy to digest and easy understandable overview about their stats and the impact of their habits on their biomarkers. So to make it very simple, wearable data in combination with behavioral health analytics with a focus on mental health. And now from time to time, we add more data sources like environmental data from smart patches. And there will be huge progress in the wearable industry in the next years. And as a company, we connect the dots and make it even more clear so you can steer your health in the very best way. So this could be a monthly report. You open that, you see, okay, how did I progress? What kind of an impact had my habits on my biomarkers? And you get that really digestible and easy understandable.
Okay, great, very clear. Thank you, Adrian. There was a question in the discussion, but I think it was answered. Your company is based in Munich, right? Germany?
Yes, exactly, Munich, Germany.
Okay. You have other operations outside so far? Or?
So we started this company when COVID started. So we fully started entirely remote, and our company is fully flexible. So our team is also pretty much all over the place, and we saw that this is actually a huge benefit for us, as also War of Talent has a wider scope than just looking for people in Germany or in Munich. But as I said, we focus on Europe first and then the United States, but the headquarters is in Munich.
Okay, perfect. Maybe a last question before I leave it to Antler would be a few words on your go-to-market strategy, and maybe if you have some KPIs on the first customers.
Yeah, sure. Let me start with the second one. So you have that covered. We have that covered already. I'll put this one in. So very frank and very open. Here you get the numbers. So at the moment, There are like 1,500 customers, 800 active daily users. There are roughly 1 million data points per day in the backend. We run our first project in corporate health with 2 major clients here in Germany, in southern Germany, which is a good position to be for B2B partnerships, especially Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg. Those are the KPIs for the moment, but we're live and out of stealth mode since a month now, so it's the beginning. And what was the first question?
First question was on the go-to-market strategy. You mentioned B2C and B2B. Are you going to address those different personas?
Thank you very much. Very important one. So we strongly believe that in order to be successful in B2B, in our case, it is important to at first we have to distinguish between user and customer here. And even if we partner with companies in corporate health management or insurance, then the end user is still an end user, like an employee or a assured person, and this person still expects an outstanding customer experience with outstanding perceived health benefits, right? So our go-to-market has a clear focus on B2C in the first step, so we can get fast traction, fast feedback from our customers, launch all of the features and improve the product with an outstanding customer experience. So we are then able to really have a high leverage effect when we start with this to leverage B2B with corporate health and insurtech models, because it will only be successful if the people are happy with the customer experience, which is the #1 success factor for healthcare platform approaches, which recently gets published by Roland Berger study, The Future of Health 2, The Rise of Healthcare Platforms. That's why we highly focused on an outstanding customer experience and the perceived health benefits. So B2C, and then we go B2B. And we focus, regarding go-to-market, we focus on brand awareness in the first step, content marketing when it comes to behavioral health. And here we will include what we call the VIP ambassador program. So we have a big network out of thought leaders, executive, top-level athletes that get onboarded in this VIP ambassador program. And then we will combine this with highly targeted demographic ads to speak to our customer, which is mainly knowledge workers. There are currently 1 billion worldwide. So typical example would be big city life, lots of screen time, different heads of like being responsible in the company, having a family at home, lots of digital overload, stressed big city life.
Okay, thank you very much, Adrian. Great project, good work. Thank you for the presentation and explanation, and impressive work on your side to get there.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you, Guillaume. Sarah, would you like to give your feedback?
Sarah, also known as Antler Berlin.
Yes.
One that I work with. Adrian, thank you very much for your presentation. My question relates to the product. So it's a data software-driven product, also has a wearables component, if I'm not mistaken. But how does that compare to other players in the market? For instance, I mean, when I saw this, I kind of immediately thought about Whoop, which is, for those on the call that are unfamiliar with that, it's a fitness tracker that measures, recovery, sleep, etc. Super popular right now. Most people that I know have it. How are you differing from, say, the Whoops of the world, the Fitbits, the Prevails, those guys?
Thank you for the question. So to take one thing up front, I don't know if you see my screen or if you still see myself.
Yeah.
I have it on my wrist as well, so I'm a Whoop fan as well.
Yeah, okay.
But obviously,
are you
I'm
a CrossFitter?
No, not a CrossFitter, but
okay.
Very passionate about sports. Still active as a kind of a personal health and performance coach for several top-level athletes, like German national team players, that kind of took an own dynamic when I was running the previous company. So I showed them how to improve mental fitness and recovery cycles on a personalized basis, on data-driven basis. But that's another story. Coming back to your question, actually the best way to answer that is, again, to open that slide here. So what we do here is really, now we have to, oh, damn, sorry, I'm sorry. 1 second. It should be visible now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So ONVY is at the intersection of these fields of quantifiable mental well-being and AI health management. So WHOOP is building hardware. We're not building hardware. We are leveraging our algorithms based on existing hardware. And then we run machine learning methods for clustering, classification, and regression of biometric time series data. And from time, we add more data sources like our behavioral health analytics by the questionnaires, like environmental data, like UV index, weather, radiation exposure. It can be air pollution and other data sources like smart patches. That will happen a lot in the future. We can add all of these data sources to our platform and train our algorithms so we can learn from patterns and correlations of this real field health data by people all over the world and certain demographic factors to make it a bit more tangible. We can then maybe say at some point, hey, men between 30 and 40 in big cities like Berlin, Germany are 12% more likely to have this and that disease based on those lifestyle circumstances or based on those environmental factors. So that's where the differentiation of us in comparison to a company that is actually building a wearable device, a hardware wearable device, which by the way is super hard these days as you run into these problems of global supply chain, component scarcity of semiconductors, chips and sensors. So we're in the software on the platform side, we're not in the hardware game.
Cool. And just a follow-on question from that. So I guess, sorry, referencing the WHOOP kind of product again, it has this kind of huge growing customer base, I guess. Do you think that they're going to go into this direction? And if so, like, what will be your defensibility there?
So I think where WHOOP did an amazing job is really in marketing. They knew how to do proper marketing. They did an amazing job here. And they also focused on an outstanding customer experience. That's why they managed to compete with the big guys like Apple, where each and every one of the early investors probably told the founder of WHOOP that is founded 2011 in Boston, you will never make it with an own wearable device and competing with Apple and so on. But they did exactly that. They focused on an outstanding customer experience and managed to enter that space. So what happens to them in the long run, I don't know. But what was super successful is customer experience focus, great marketing, and the community feature. And community is where we also highly focus on in our go-to-market. So we have a very detailed planning about how we leverage the community gameplay, how we have a certain kind of community features for engagement, retention, and gamification. So we will roll out something like we call it the ONVY Health Coin. It's a digital asset that is redeemable for health services. So you're motivated anyway. When you live healthy, you feel better, and now you get even a reward for that, and you can redeem it to further health services, leading for revenues. It's a win-win-win situation, but community is quite important.
Awesome, thanks, Adrian. That's it for me.
Welcome. Thank you very much for your feedback.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there any questions in the audience? Now is the time to ask if there is someone who would like to speak now. No, but there were a few questions for Adrian in the chat.
Okay, I have to open it 1 second.
I think, Mathilde, we covered most of them.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah. Okay. Okay. Then thank you so much everyone for your inputs and your presentations. And actually this was the final pitch for tonight. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight and for the nice presentations and the constructive feedbacks. And so if you'd like to connect with each other on LinkedIn, that would be great. Yeah.
I think Astrid has a question, Mathilde.